Oh, God, I got you.
Oh, and Colleen's getting some serious puppy on Colleen action right now.
Fred's jumped right up on the sofa with me. And I'm getting, well, okay, we've got new mics and new everything, so of course,
he's licking the mics. Fred the studio dog.
Oh, yeah, this is exactly what my sister's dog does. I go over, I sit down on the sofa in the kitchen, and I immediately have a dog on me. It's just fine.
He loves your energy. I mean, you have serious good dog juju, and it's funny, I went out to the car. We just got our new studio equipment for the Great Northern Sex Cast. Woohoo! Yeah, it's kind of neat.
I got blue, sort of matching some of our colors in the stores and everything like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's great equipment. Hopefully it's going to sound better than the last few weeks' shows. But yeah, so I ran out to the car, and normally if I leave a room, a house, or whatever, the studio dog Fred is like right at my heels, and he's like, yeah, see ya. I mean, he wouldn't have cared if I left.
He just hung out by the door.
He didn't move.
He was looking in your direction, but he didn't leave the room.
Yeah, but he really didn't give a crap.
Yeah.
He didn't care. So let's kick off this week's show. God, we're in October already. Can you...
It is, in fact, October. It's just sort of messing with my head. It has been a crazy week in this world.
Oh, my God.
And hopefully we can take a few moments here and entertain you, maybe educate you, and just it's okay to take a break from everything. Yes. And so hopefully we can do that. Not that we're dismissing all the stuff in the world, but everybody needs a break. And it's okay.
We do, and our hearts go out to victims and everyone hurting right now. Mm-hmm. Just for the record. So, Colleen, you found something. You got to kick off with this.
Well, actually, I didn't. A friend of mine did.
Okay.
And he posted it on my page. And then he's like, well, maybe I shouldn't put it on your page. And I'm like, nah, don't worry. I'm talking about my Facebook page because we're old and that's what old people use.
Right.
And it was a story about how a company in Germany, it's Pen Test Partners, and it is about Bluetooth connected sex toys. And
you sell those.
And we sell some, yes.
Yeah.
And so what they were curious, because there's so many things that are Bluetooth connected now, and they were curious about the security of it. And I'm going through this, and the gentleman, thanks Ken, who put it on my page, said, here, check this out. And it's a little map, has little butt plugs on it, someplace in Germany. And what happened is this company, Pen Test Partners, they went out and purchased a Bluetooth-enabled butt plug, which means that if you have an app on your phone, you can, control it, the intensity and everything of the toy. Just like anything that's Bluetooth that you have an app for, you can control from your phone. And they wanted to know if they could find them. And so they bought one, and they looked at it, whatever you look at, and they discovered that the majority of these toys don't actually have, passcode security, or if it does, it's very simple. So they were able to drive around the city and find the homes where people had this one particular sex toy. And then they were able to log onto it, and if they wanted to, they didn't, they could have controlled it. And, they were just trying to think, there are so many things that have Bluetooth capabilities now.
Oh, my God.
And not a lot of these, the Internet of Things, not everybody has, a password on it. And so I'm thinking that, now that this is out there, that folks are going to have to think about it. And they're not kink shaming. They're not saying, they're just sort of pointing out that, this is what's out, this is what's out there. And it doesn't have to be your sex toy. So you might want to think about when, when you're not using it, or even, it's going to be, I can't imagine the people driving around, looking for this stuff. But if you are, disconnect it from your Bluetooth when you're done using it. It's going through there. If you're not using the thing, don't leave it on. Turn the app off, do something, because it's not as though, even if your wireless is password protected, it doesn't mean that the toy is. This is what I've been trying to figure out, because I'm not that versed in a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was just, it was just fascinating to read it. This was in Berlin, just so you know, it was in Germany, and there's quite a few sex toys in Germany. They're not prudes about their sex toy use, and it is just, they found the hush plug, and it was waiting for anyone to connect to it on a public street. They didn't attempt to connect to any devices without consent, but they could have easily cranked up the motor to full speed with no way for anyone to stop them, provided they stay connected to the Bluetooth network. And they just, I understand why they did. They felt that it was important that people understand what they're bringing into their homes. And I think the same thing has to go for when people start bringing in the new iPhones into their house.
Mm-hmm.
They have to think about privacy. Because if you look into search and seizure and all those laws, you can't compel someone to, let's say, give up. I don't think I'm not right. There's a very thin line that think about it. If authority could just hold up your phone to your face and unlock it.
Yeah.
And they don't have to ask permission because your face is like out there.
Yeah.
A password is something that you have to produce. You have to use brain power for. And I'm really simplifying this.
Yeah.
But even your fingerprint, to some extent, is out there. So I think it's important that everybody, that you do, go ahead, get your stuff, do that. But look for passwords and do stuff. Yes, it's a pain in the ass. I have so many freaking passwords.
Oh, I hate it.
Drives me insane. But I do think that privacy, is important.
Oh my God, especially when it comes to your sex toys, for God's sake. Yeah. But okay, I have so many things on this, but it's like, all right, we use Bluetooth speakers, like, regularly. We've got we take one out on our pontoon, and we have one at our house that we keep in the backyard, and it looks for devices. Yeah. So your sex toy could show up inadvertently on your neighbor's Bluetooth speaker. And so if these companies need to allow you to rename it. So instead of, the butt plug or whatever it is, the hush plug, you should be able to rename it cookies or you know what I mean, or Bible or verse, or I don't know,
because it is. I mean, not that it just people's personal lives. I mean, I don't care if it's your kids speak and say that's Bluetooth. It doesn't. It should be no one's business what's in your home.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could not agree with you more. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely
the image I got of this little map of little red butt plugs. The original story that was sent to me was from the Metro UK, which, from what I can tell, is sort of a combination of like a Star and a City Pages. Yeah. But what I was looking so I took the story and I Googled it and I found it in many more other stuff.
They curate places, a lot of their stuff. Yeah.
So trying to find the right spaces, and that's what I'm gonna. That's what I realized. It's like it's really easy to find some of these stories, but I went back to try and find who actually did it because it's amazing as it gets curated. It's how some information gets dropped off sometimes.
For sure.
But I found it at the I fucking love science site, which had a little bit more information, and it was written a little less hyperbole. More awesome. Facts. So awesome. I just because I was like, maybe I shouldn't have put this on your page. I'm like, nah, everybody knows me, and if they don't want to see this stuff, they can unfollow me.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. No, that's actually a really interesting story, though, and it really affects a lot more people than we probably realize. Just need to harken back to a link you sent me in the last few days since we recorded our show. Defiant topless woman carried out of Minnesota United game at TCF Bank Stadium, charged with misdemeanor exposure. Would you like to elaborate?
It was just a small story that a drunk woman decided to take off her shirt and cheer on the soccer team, and nobody really seemed to care. But then she got obnoxious about it.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. I'm pretty sure that if she just sort of cheered and not. I mean, there were some kids in the area, and I still have an issue with the fact that somehow women's nipples and boobs are more obscene than guys, but, that's a whole nother issue. But finally, we get our drunken, naked person in Minnesota.
Oh, right. Florida's been letting us down for months.
I mean, they're busy.
True, the hurricanes.
Love Boat Ice Cream, which is in Fort Myer, which is the best. I can't eat anymore, but it's really great ice cream. Just like a week and a half ago, just finally got power back.
Oh, my gosh.
And there's a lot of different things I've checked. Because I like going, I've mentioned before, I love going down to Fort Myers and checking out Twins games and stuff like that in spring training. So I was watching all that. But I'm looking at this story and I'm like, this is Minnesota.
Nice.
And it was Minnesota in the fall. And I'm pretty sure it was outdoors, which is another thing that got me.
Right.
But it also led me to another story that I saw back
Wait, before we leave this,
sorry.
I just have to point out one thing that I found kind of interesting. And you kind of ran by the point about women's nipples, why they're more obscene than men's. Well, the 7-year-old kid pointed out to his mother that there was this half-naked woman. Now, here's the woman. Instead of going completely batshit, like so many parents do, she said, there was a lot of shirtless guys, too. So I wasn't going to get too upset. But then she just, like you said, became obnoxious. Now it's really almost more about being a drunk person. So I thought the mom had a very measured reaction.
She said, just don't look, honey.
Yeah, she did. But then she started causing more problems. So
that was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was, and it was at LA Dodgers, there is Rally Granny. I just saw this in Rally Granny.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance to do this. She goes to a lot of the games. They put the camera on her. She gets up and she dances, but she goes, I don't know how to dance. I just sort of bump and grind. And then towards the end, she lifts up her shirt and flashes her big old granny bra. Now, this is a really good-looking older woman, but I think she might be in her 80s or 90s. I got to search for the Rally Granny thing and get it up there. But what people were like, and then I guess the Dodgers got a hit and they ended up winning the game, and so they're calling her Rally Granny. And then she got interviewed, and she's like, I don't know how to dance, I just know how to bump and grind. It's a lot of fun. And then the best part was, and people, there were some nasty comments about going to hell. And she goes, hell, if I'm going to go to hell, it's going to be for something more than this. This interview was hilarious.
That's awesome.
It's just a little flash of. It looks like a white Playtex ordinary bra.
Probably covers absolutely every inch of everything.
Yeah, it was,
and then some.
It was the quickest little flash. It was hilarious.
That's fantastic.
So Rally Granny was on the Dodger side. I love me an old broad. I aspire to be the woman dancing in the stands.
When you're 80 or 90?
That flashes my bra.
Me too.
Yeah,
I think
this is. I don't really have a bucket list, but things that I think are cool, that's on it.
I agree. Agreed. So, in Manchester, England, a porn star named Kat Lee decided to offer university freshmen, and they call them over there, the article says they're called freshers. So they're just freshmen, they're freshers.
Well, it's gender neutral.
Well, it is. She was handing out wristbands with her name and herself described as a sexpert, and her phone number offering to, if they were still virgins, to help them with that.
Was she charging for it, or just doing that? Just doing it out of the goodness of her own heart.
Goodness of her own heart.
She decided that she would get herself some. She was in the mood for some virgins.
Well, she said.
And how would you prove that?
She wanted to help shy men that were too afraid to approach girls.
Oh.
And previously, she's in the past been known for offering student discounts. So, right.
You know what? She is a supporter of education. This is outstanding. Because if you're stressed out, if I'm not getting any, how are you going to study?
I never thought of it that way. This sets women back a little ways. Okay. Sexy Russian twins looking for disgustingly rich husband to share and claim they do everything together. Do I need to tell you any more? Are we pretty done with that one?
No, did we talk about this a couple months ago about the sugar daddy websites where they go and they can get the pay for the college stuff and Sometimes if it was legal, I think we'd have a hell of a lot fewer problems in this world.
I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you. Everybody.
I'm not saying it will eliminate them. I'm just saying there will be fewer. There's never such thing as no problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And they said disgustingly rich and completely open-minded because they do everything together. So the only other heavy part about that is that if the sisters are into each other, how is that not kind of gross? Incest.
That's totally hideous.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. So I thought this was funny. There's a new social media site in England for newbies. Okay, now swinging is not a new concept, and hilariously, according to a study that was done in 2008, there are approximately 1 million swingers in the United Kingdom. So 1 million, and their population is vastly smaller than ours as well. Allegedly, the United States has 15 million, okay? So this website, just there in the UK, so if there's 1 million of them there, this new website called Fab has over 130,000 daily unique users. That's 10% of the swinging community on one site. That's pretty big.
They're doing quite well.
Yeah. It's got it works kind of like a dating app. It lets members post photos, details, sexual preferences, and they've got they can review past partners. If that's not a can of worms, I don't know what is.
Well, there's a site here that folks are probably familiar with. It could be called FetLife. Now, they've been having a little bit of an issue with FetLife, and I don't know whether it's been resolved because they also make money. It's a membership thing for certain areas, but I think they were having a hard time getting, because people would post rather graphic photos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think they lost their credit card processor or something. It's a little different, so they had to pull stuff and this and that. But, fantasy, I was on there, and I used to, I would post the blog and a few other things we did. But but I have so many social media sites to monitor that I don't really look at it on. It's only every couple months, 3-4 months that I'm on it. But there is a similar, and that's, I think, nationwide. You can probably find it in a lot of different places. Mm-hmm. So, FETLIFE, and can go on and log in and do what you need. But they've, I know that seemed to be a fair number of folks that were involved here in the Twin Cities on that.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Well, there it is. Mm-hmm. Those are the numbers. And I do find it funny that their annual Swingers Festival, usually held in Swingfields, or rather, it doesn't say the city.
Oh, it's named Swingfield?
Yeah,
oh,
but the city.
Yeah.
But anyway, the 2017 event got canceled due to noise complaints from previous years, so they're looking for a new location so you can sign up for 2018.
Yeah, well, it could get a little loud. What if there are waffles?
Don't. That's an inside joke.
So yeah, I couldn't resist that. We did have a lovely. We had Mrs. Sidden came in, and one of our very first episodes. You can go back into the classic GNS and take a look, listen to it. And I wasn't there that day, but when I listened to it, I just snorted. She had a story about making waffles and then sex. Ooh.
We heard the studio dog is making his presence known today.
Well, yeah, siren just went by, so something's going on.
Yeah. Mrs. Sin is hysterical. That episode, if you're looking for it, aired in March of 2015.
Okay.
So that's how you can find it in the archives. That, I swear to God, to this day is still one of my favorite shows because everybody, you weren't there.
No.
And I'm sorry, that's not why it was my favorite show, but Michael was there, and it was either Liz or Megan, and we were pretty much speechless. I mean,
it's hard to make the staff speechless. It just really is.
Right?
Yeah.
If you can do that to people that work in sex toys for a living, I'm just saying, it's a raucous little show. Mm-hmm. This is interesting, and you may be familiar with this. Do you know the Blow-Yo?
No.
You don't?
No, well, like I said, I don't look at the merchandise as much anymore.
Okay.
There's too much information out there. I get the XBiz, and I look at it and stuff like that, but I leave it to the buyers because Tara and Liz and Tim and those guys, they got their shit together.
Yes.
I mean, I got to crack it. Yeah, they're just amazing crew here.
It's for sure. Well, the Blow-Yo is a oral sex simulator for men. This will crack you up. Recent study, 99% of men said that they love it, and only 1% can take it or leave it, which doesn't surprise me a bit. But
someplace to put your dick.
Right, right. Well, Esquire did a survey asking 10,000 women about their thoughts on oral sex. 30% said they enjoy it. 46% said they like it because he likes it. 19% said they'll do it, but they don't like it. 5% refuse. So, Love Honey is the manufacturer of the Blow-Yo.
That's a British company. Sometimes that stuff is not available in the U.S. There is a item on our partner website at fantasygiftsmn.com that I call Blue It. That is a really good masturbator that has sold really well online for us. Okay. And so it's sort of swirly, and but I don't. It was a really good masturbator, and I know it does something else versus just something you put your penis in, but I haven't looked at it in a while.
Well, it's 2 solid rings at either end of a stretchy sleeve and has a choice of 4 different internal textures. They are named Sensation Swirl, Ultimate Bubble, Intense Ticklers, and Extreme Wave.
Oh, God, we have several things like this.
Do you?
Yes. We are so close. I know we are almost into our 5th month here, but we are so close to the new website. But there were issues. There's always issues. Mm-hmm. But under the masturbators, there are several clear versions, and some of them have beads in it, embedded into the silicone. Some have rings. There are a whole bunch of different ways. Some of them have you can put like a vibrating bullet at the end, so you can have vibration.
Okay.
Plus the stroking action that you're using. There are these small masturbation sleeves are amazing. We sell a lot of them. Guys really like it. And what's really nice about them is that they have holes. Most of them have holes in both ends, so it's also really easy to clean them.
Oh, sure, okay. But you do need to clean because you have to use a boatload of lube. But I just thought the name was funny, Blow-Yo. I think it should have been Faux Blow. Don't you think?
Definitely.
I mean, how did they miss that opportunity? I don't know.
Someone probably already has it.
Week after week, I swear, I feel like this is coming out from a different source every single week. It bears mentioning. What do women wish you do during sex? And it really has to do with mood setting. And this is a study of 2,000 people. Sweet nothings, romance. It's all romance, and men and women.
So where was it? So what age range? Like, because when you look at definitely some of the sites are like aggregate something like this, but when you're looking at like Cosmo, an article from that's an article that's going to be written with folks in their 20s and 30s and teens in mind, and then other articles in general are going to be written for like if you have men's health, it tends to be a little bit older, or GQ. There's just, and it's always fascinating because it comes back to the same thing. But I think it's because you need to write it in a way that your audience is going to understand it. Right. And I just find it fascinating because, yes, it's the same information, but if someone's not going to go to the source, what's the point?
Right. This surveyed 2,000 people. I do not have the age range, but it was from the Sex Information and Education Council of Canada. Okay, but then it also, the article goes on to hearken from another study, the Journal of Sex Research, and talks about couples who gave and received more oral sex experienced regular orgasms and reported feeling happier overall in their relationships.
Oh, see, that makes sense. And I can see this probably so this is information that would be great for sex educators, sex therapists, and therapists in general. Yes. And then they can pass it along, and we can pass it along. Right. Because it's not just, Cosmo did a survey. Yes. I love, actual scientific evidence. I love the science.
Love that stuff. I know.
love the science.
Definitely.
But I can see the oral sex thing because you talk. I mean, that is really intimate. Yeah. I mean that it's not and that I can see why a couple would be happier if you're comfortable with all that.
I would think so too. So this one's just a very lighthearted, funny.
Oh, okay.
And the links I sent to Megan, so you should see these up on the website. And it's a sweet potato that looks like a dick and balls. And did you see it?
I have not seen it.
Darwin, Australia is where it's from.
We have, and maybe I will snap a picture of this. We will load it up on the site. Quite a number of years ago, my sister was out in the yard. She lives in a semi-wooded area. And, if you have a really damp spring or the summer or whatever, you're going to get mushrooms. And they can just sprout up overnight.
Oh, yeah.
So my little nephew was out there with a hockey stick smacking all the mushrooms. And then my sister glances over and he's about to take a swing at one. And she goes, stop. She runs in and gets her camera. It is the best dick mushroom that has ever existed in this life. So she snapped a couple of pictures and then she let the kids continue smacking all the damn mushrooms with their hockey sticks. But I will take a picture of it. I will send it to Megan.
Oh, please do.
Post it up because there is nothing. It is the best penis-shaped mushroom I have ever seen.
Yeah, this one's pretty funny
too.
Oh,
God, I can't wait.
I love accidental, phallic, and sexual-shaped vegetables.
Oh yeah,
it's never-ending fun.
Yeah, especially like a little tomato or a potato that looks like a butt.
I keep getting radishes that look like butts.
You get butt radishes?
Yeah. All the time. Really. We've posted a couple of them on our site. Pretty good. This one's actually kind of interesting in not such a good way. A lot of women, there's a growing number of women that are seeking physiotherapy for stress-related dyspareunia or pain during sex. It's increasing. And you can put we'll put the article up for you to read the whole thing, but basically this article is about the fact that stress can affect a woman and cause her pelvic floor muscles to knot up and spasm, which can over time create this very painful condition called dyspareunia.
Oh, yeah, you definitely want to go in if you're feeling uncomfortable because even if you have bladder problems, you have to go through there. And believe me, there's a lot of stress in the world right now. Yeah. So being tense, you don't want those parts tense.
No, because it actually can really affect parts of your life that are meant to
de-stress you.
Right.
That's definitely have to put that up there so that people can look, because the doctors are gonna, and if your doctor gives you any crap about talking to him, get yourself a new doctor.
Yeah. So this was, I was a little disappointed. The headline, student ditches law degree to become hardcore porn star. She wasn't done with her degree. She was still a student. So she's another student that dropped out to join porn. And I'm like, you know what? Just stop that. But she did make herself available. She's got 200,000 social media followers, and she did get herself on an episode of Game of Thrones. But it's like, she's just having so much fun, blah, 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 blah. But it's like...
See, I don't watch Game of Thrones because it's too violent. But I'm assuming she had to be in probably one of the orgy scenes.
Oh, sure.
Or one of the girl-on-girl scenes or something like that.
Yeah,
I was like,
sure.
oh, yeah. Wow, so... hopefully she paid off any loan she had, even though she didn't finish it.
I know. And it's just like, I'm sorry, but leaving school to go into porn is not exactly a headline to me.
You can do both.
I know. I mean, yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't
think about that. Yeah. Okay, so this is not good. This is a guy who ordered a child sex doll.
Yeah,
did you read about this?
No, I've seen a couple stories on this. I'm like, a few places are trying to pass laws that it's just illegal to purchase this thing. I don't know where if you can pass laws saying you can't make it, but if you can certainly probably pass a law saying no child sex. I know.
I know. Yeah, I mean, and it's just, why aren't they going after the people making it?
Yeah. I don't understand why anyone would think that is appropriate. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I mean, I know to some extent, we've decided that somewhere between 16 and 18 is the age of consent, depending on what state you're in, and it might even be lower in some places. Mm-hmm. And they're finally getting to the point where some states are saying that there's no teen marriages and that sort of stuff. But it's amazing how patchwork it is around the U.S. But the idea of a surrogate doll, I mean, I and don't give me the honest. Well, if they screw the doll, they won't go after other folks. I said, no, you need to understand why they want to even go there.
Yeah. Well, and you could, I can see people making a case for that, saying, oh, the doll will keep them away from real children. Or you could also use the gateway drug argument and say that it gets them, increases appetite for...
but it's not doing anything to help the issue. I mean, the main issue.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Yes, absolutely. But here's what's even worse. He did get a 12-month prison sentence that got suspended with the condition that he has to go through a program to address his issues, which brings me to the idea of, the question in the courts right now of how long... Yeah.
In the state of Minnesota, is it do you get out? I mean, the rules, you do your prison sentence and then you go to one of the other mental health facilities, but there's no way of getting out. And I think they just said, something was upheld. Well, there is no way of getting out. Mm-hmm. And maybe the sentencing needs just to be changed at the beginning so that you're not doing this sort of double thing, or it needs to be tied in. I don't know. But it does seem like certain things that I'm not saying it can't be changed, but they haven't figured out how yet.
You mean to change the law, or
to change how to keep someone from reoffending.
Yeah,
and I don't. But our laws don't work for things. It's not meshing, and so they've got two sides that are fighting each other. But a lot of these folks do reoffend.
Yeah,
and it just and there's no way of figuring out who. It's total mess.
Well, I've been in conversations, and I'd love feedback on this too,
Mm-hmm.
but where it's said that adult on adult offenders,
mm-hmm.
that's a violence thing, and a dominance and whatever, and there are many people who believe that people predisposed to assault and abuse children, that's more, it's an ingrained, ongoing, can't fix it kind of thing. But then, okay, there's studies about everything every day. Have you ever seen a study about it? Or it's not, it needs to be talked about, don't you think?
Yeah, it's just because these are human beings. and you don't, if it's possible to change, then the research needs to be done. But they don't know that.
Yeah.
Because getting research on something like this is just,
it's unsavory to a lot of people.
Yes. But if you get the research on it, then, it's long term, you're going to figure out how to help people before they do stuff. I mean,
right.
It's sort of like, they're not wearing, prevention is where you need to go, but without research, you don't have it.
Right.
And they're so squeamish about it, they're not doing it.
And there's attitudes out there saying, well, you see the stories on TV. Why are we paying for people to study hamsters on treadmills or whatever? And I could easily hear the echo of, why are we spending money, trying to get into the minds of these people? Well, just because we have to know how to deal with them.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you just want to get down to the economics of it, it's very inexpensive to keep somebody indefinitely incarcerated, whether it's in a prison or in a outside facility that we have here in the mental the wards that they're in, and it doesn't is there a better use of that money? There's a lot of people there's a lot of money out there. Is it being used in the right way? And there's then that's a whole different thing. People like lock them up, or people like this. How about a combination? It's never either or.
Right.
That whole it's just one way to do something.
Yeah.
When it comes to getting people's brains right, each person's going to be different.
I know. Yeah. Although I do think that with adult offenders, adult on adult versus habitual child offenders, I do think that there is a difference. I just don't know what it would be, and I think it would be worth putting some effort into trying to figure out what's possible.
Yeah, versus just warehousing them. Because these are not good people, but it's still people.
Right.
And that, you can't, it is, there's a lot of things that humans have not figured out yet.
Add it to the list, Colleen.
Add it to the list, yep.
Well, and that sort of segues into the next story. There is a facility in Washington State that is being sued by sex offenders over the water quality. Now, these are a bunch of sex offenders ordered to live on this secluded island in Washington. They say the water is cloudy brown and it's making them sick. And it's the Special Commitment Center is the name of it. So they filed a federal lawsuit alleging that the facility is violating their rights by forcing them to drink contaminated water that causes stomach pain, skin rashes, and has been blamed for unexplained deaths. Well, I think that's a fair complaint.
Yeah, the amount of prison abuse in this country is horrifying.
Yeah.
Because how do you expect to get someone to think that the people on the outside deserve empathy if we're not showing any? It's you can't. You treat someone like crap, they're not going to turn around and not treat you like crap.
Yeah.
That's just, you don't need to study for that shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. We're not some, horrible foreign jail.
I'm not saying that they need, premium cable.
Yeah, right.
But maybe drinking water and that doesn't make them sick, and appropriate medications when they need them, and maybe, food that is nutritional, and maybe contact, just, the amount of, a little bit outside of our realm of knowledge here, but I don't think there's a state that probably doesn't have a lawsuit against the prison system right now.
Oh, I'm sure not. Let me ask you this. You just said something interesting. You said medications when they need them. Do you think that incarcerated people should have the right to have transgender surgery?
Honestly, they ended up
taxpayer
there
paid.
Yeah. Well, honestly, yeah, because that unless we create 2 new prisons, a whole different prison system, because that person is not safe where they are, and it's just it's frustrating, but it's the same thing as saying, does that person get a new kidney if they need it, or does that person get they're all they're supposed to be taken care of. And there's no difference between, and I know people will, debate me upside one or the other, but there's no difference between that and needing a kidney or diabetes treatment or dialysis, or a hepatitis treatment or anything. They're there and that's, they're supposed to be taken care of.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What, and I hear how you're laying that out, so let me throw you in another one. What if, let's switch it over to, it could be a female heterosexual inmate. And what if she gets a case of, she's on a life sentence, and what if she gets a case of, because we know that this is a real thing, the women that are so desperate to have babies that they just hormonally go crazy. And, I've actually known a few of these people. Should we then allow that person to have a child?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh.
Well, honestly, they could probably have a child, but it's not going to live in the prison, so she's going to have to give it up.
Right.
And mind you, they can seduce people get knocked up all the time.
Yeah.
So, believe me, there's going to be someone that's going to be the sperm donor.
But I'm just saying that, they're saying that, my natural drive for motherhood is so strong. I mean, there's just a potential limitless quagmire to what people could say that they need. And once, I guess my question is where I would lay it out. And I'm not saying I have an answer or I'm arguing one, but I do think that there's a line where if you, depending on what you've done and how much trouble you're in, there is a point where, what are the basics and what aren't anymore? And if you're being beat up, well, now that's a basic.
I think non-brown water would be a basic.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. But yeah,
I think more than having air conditioning in Arizona and heat in Minnesota.
Right.
It's going through there. These are these places only became habitable because we have these technologies.
Yep.
We would not have our cities here if we were still, if we didn't have central heat.
I know.
So. But my daughter's high school just finally got air conditioning because things are getting warmer. So if you're going to start school in August and go through June, you're going to have 100-degree days, and that's happened. And there was a year, a couple years ago, where they had to close school that year because, one, the schools were too hot. Because you have sun baking on a brick building, so you've made yourself a kiln.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then later on, it was like minus 40 wind chill, and there just was no way to get to the kid. Buses were not getting there fast. Kids were spending too much time. I'm like, no, if we didn't have this stuff, we would live in a very narrow band of temperate weather somewhere, not wearing a lot of clothes.
Well, that's true. But can I just say that the Native Americans managed to inhabit these areas, and
but not this many people.
No, not this many. But I mean, I remember being a kid. I'm from California, and when my sister moved here, my sister's 16 years older than I, and she and her husband moved their 3 children here to raise them here, which turned out to be fantastic. And I ended up here too. I love this place. But I remember thinking the first time I came here, I was like 17 from California, and it was winter. And I'm sitting here thinking that, there's so much Native American heritage here. I mean, as inherent in like the names of everything.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, how in the hell did those people?
Any indigenous peoples around the world, we got to that point, but it's a much smaller community, and you have the resources for it.
They did not have heating, Colleen. They did not have.
But they only had a few. They only had. They didn't have the population, and so they weren't completely destroying the forest to keep themselves warm.
But it's amazing.
No.
I don't care how much buffalo you put on.
I have friends that go winter camping, and I think they're insane.
I
don't understand that. Yes, no. I mean, I have boots, but I go from my house to my garage, and I park next to the door here, and then I go in, and it's just, I don't. There's no roughing it. No.
I have heated seats and a heated steering wheel, and before I got those, I thought I was roughing it. So yeah.
I love my heated. I didn't know I had the heated steering wheel for like a year, or if I knew, I forgot about it.
I didn't know on my other car either.
And then Michael pointed out to me, and I just went,
"Oh, I know." You know what I just got?
Excuse me.
I just recently got a new car, and it has air conditioned seats. Now, I need to backtrack and tell you my first experience with air conditioned seats was in a girlfriend of mine who it was her car, and it was literally like 11 years ago, and it was a Mercedes, and she turned on the air, and let me just tell you right now, the first thing out of my mouth was invasive. Like, turn it up, and I'm like, I do not need a freeze dried hoo-ha, whatever.
I have the cooling seats on too, and I've turned it on, but honestly, I haven't noticed that much of a difference. So I'm not, but I don't think that, I mean, I live 3 miles from my office. So I don't think I'm in the car long enough to really understand, but the steering wheel, that sucker heats up fast.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, so nice.
Well, my seats aren't as insanely aggressive as the Mercedes seats were, but it does help. And if you have black seats like I do, it cools them off so you don't sit down and fry your back of your legs. Okay. We have to talk about Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, I was fascinated because I read a lot of different articles over the years. About him over the years and stuff like that. And, from when he started to when he died, the world has changed a lot in the way that he was, in the way that he was perceived. And, and honestly, because he existed and because the blanking on the guy that does Penthouse and some other folks, there's Larry Flint. Somehow that sort of had the basis for the fact that fantasy gifts exist. I can't not, admit stuff like that. Going through there. But it's sort of like saying there were some good ideas that were completely wrapped in misogyny.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
Regardless of whether he says he celebrates women and all that. And so the idea of more open sexuality was good, but he only meant for men. But you start someplace and then you move forward, and we're finally getting to the point of women saying, well, we want it, we deserve it too.
Yeah.
And getting it. So you have to start somewhere. I mean, it's sort of like one of the founders of Planned Parenthood was a horrible racist. But you got to start somewhere. There's never, there's bases on where you're going. And for each person, whether or not they can watch a Woody Allen movie or Bill Cosby again, or go to a Playboy, or whether they want to support this organization or that, you have to look and see for your personal mind where's that line for you. Can you still support an organization even though it may have started poorly? I mean, our Constitution started poorly and it's evolving. I mean, women couldn't vote, and it's evolved. Yeah. And so it's never all bad. But when you can make a change, you make a change. Yeah. Like changing the name of Lake Cahoon to be Demacaska, or getting rid of the Squaw Lake name, around the country, or acknowledging that certain things that catcalling is not a compliment. I mean, people, you evolve. And I think that even though it was a good start and we've evolved past it, so I acknowledge the fact what it started, but I also acknowledge the fact that he was seriously flawed.
Oh, and it's not a judgmental thing. There's just a couple of interesting tidbits that I wanted to point out. You may or may not know that he bought the crypt next to Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, I sort of find that creepy that she's getting stalked in
death.
In death. But honestly, people have been visiting her gravesite for years, and we don't honestly know the relationship that they had.
Well,
but I haven't. Looks like we got some words.
I do. I have a couple things. Well. Couple things. She only got $50 for the famous photographs the one that donned the cover of the very first ever Playboy, and it was Marilyn Monroe wearing with nothing but the radio on. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That was the name of it. But he paid the calendar company that shot it 10 times what she made. Mm-hmm. To be in it, and then apparently she was notoriously embarrassed and was afraid that was going to kill off her career, which it didn't, and that's great. But so whatever.
It's like, that was it. Who, if Miss Monroe had made Norma Jean here had made equal money, see, that's it. It's still not equal.
Yeah.
Go be nude, but you need to be in charge of the nude.
Which I think a lot of women are now.
Yeah, now they are. And it's gotten there. But it started, to some sense, it had to start somewhere.
Yep.
First of all, you had to say that a nude woman was okay to look at. And then, out in public, as per se. it is a very difficult, it's because, I mean, we still have problems with perception of the business. I've had problems finding people to host our website. We weren't allowed to have an app for our show because there's people to understand the difference between PG-13, like we're talking about here, and like full-on sexually graphic content.
Yeah.
They just lump everything together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and hopefully, as time goes by, because there's plenty of things out there, but they just, I'm sure that there are sexual health apps out there and podcasts that are a hell of a lot more graphic than we'll ever be.
Oh, good God, yes.
But I don't have an entire corporate, I don't have like Universal Studios behind me, doing the paperwork and figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully, we'll get there too. And I certainly would like it to be possible, and it's really hard with the internet for parents to be able to, because I wouldn't want a kid to stumble on, you know what I mean, and if their parents, I don't want to be in,
no,
I only want people
the appropriate audience to get the appropriate material.
Right, but can I just rag on Hugh Hefner for 1 second?
Oh, no, please.
I have a complete different ick factor with him, and I don't really care what people do, and if he wants to sleep with 2 women at once and or have 5 girls in his bed every night, which he did, or over a certain time. But the older he got, the grosser it got. And not to be labeled as an ageist.
The dog in the poop, I read some of the articles about the fact that he had a totally untrained dog. So as the women were going back and forth, they were practically just trudging through dog shit.
Right.
And the whole allowance and all that. It was just horrible the way that, And the thing is that, some they feel that they don't, and people say, well, they could just leave. Well, there are control issues, there's a lot of stuff in there. And the thing is that he could have gotten what he wanted and been nice, too. I mean, been appropriate. I mean, I don't...
Yeah, yeah.
That's the part, so it's not about the sex, it's about the control.
Well, but the question is, it's not like he's a street pimp that's going to kill somebody. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that a lot of those women that put themselves, or went willingly into the Playboy mansion and whatever life that they lived there, probably were hoping it was going to get them more down the line. Mm-hmm. And probably it happened for far fewer than because, and the intention probably was never to give them all a career. It was just to get what he wanted. But the fact that they went and gave it a whirl, and I don't know, it's just gross. It's gross.
Yeah, I read some of the quotes, and it's just nothing about it. Nothing about it was exotic or empowering or part of the, part of the fantasy. You feel with this, and I don't know how his son and his daughter. I think his son's actually having control over it because he had a couple of kids with a couple different people. So I think there's a bit of an age difference between the daughter. I don't think she might be. She was the oldest. I don't think she's running it anymore. But I know that they're bringing nudity back.
Okay.
That not nude thing. I mean, it's going through there.
I thought that was a serious branding error on their part.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you should have just made instead of going cold turkey, maybe you should have had a separate issue. I don't know. I mean, you've got the content. I don't know.
I don't either. But can I tell you though, over the years, and I haven't subscribed in a long time, but I did for a number of years, particularly when I was still in radio, and especially when I was working in sports. Mm-hmm. I read it, but I got to tell you, I read some of the best fiction in that magazine. They really did pay high quality writers. So that whole joke about, well, I read it for the articles, it was a freaking good magazine. I don't know about it now. I haven't seen it, but
yeah, I mean, like I said, there was good.
Yeah,
he did give a space in publishing stuff to writers that may not have been allowed to publish elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so, but it just, I heard of it, and part of me went, he's not dead already.
Yeah.
I did. I had
he's still alive? Not now.
There's so much stuff on there that, it didn't make as much of an impression, I think. Right now there's just too much of a crap going on.
I know, it's so tame compared. Mm-hmm. Well, we've got new equipment, and I'm hoping that going into the Great Northern Sexcast next week, there's less bad news. It's been one of those weeks,
It has been a week. But the puppy is all curled up on the sofa next to me and never getting him out of it.
Yeah, the happiness is a warm thread.
Yep.
So yeah, but we'll be back to our normal silliness. I will find some naked people doing stupid stuff, I promise. But yeah, check us out: Spreaker, iTunes, iHeart. Where else are we? SoundCloud,
Tumblr, YouTube. Still waiting to hear about iTunes.
Oh, are we? Okay. It takes a while. And so anyway, check us out always on the Great Northern Sex Cast Facebook page.
Sounds good. See you next week.